Here's Cunningham up ahead of the field, lays it in, plus the foul, and then Cunningham gets into the face of Dejanay.
Sophie Cunningham was on the floor bleeding. Carrington had just swung her arm across Sophie's face and neck on a breakaway with enough force to send her crashing down without being able to break her fall. The officials reviewed it, upgraded it to a flagrant 2, ejected Carrington, and then Stephanie White walked to the post-game podium and defended the player who did it.
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
She said she did not believe Carrington intentionally targeted Sophie's neck. She called it a hard foul. Her own player, like bloodied on the floor, and White's post-game energy went toward explaining away the woman who put her there. By Sunday morning, Indiana's own lieutenant governor had seen enough. He went on social media and called for Stephanie White to be fired. The lieutenant governor of the state of Indiana publicly saying the Fever need to let their head coach go. And every single Clark fan who has been watching this season knows that this moment did not come out of nowhere. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because what the Indiana lieutenant governor just said about Stephanie White is the most significant political intervention in this team's history, and it connects to everything that has been building all season long. Posting on X, Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith said, "The Indiana Fever need to let Stephanie White go. No solid coach would ever take the side of the opposing team's player who committed a flagrant foul on one of your own players. Terrible coaching. The Fever need to defend their players." Those are the words of an elected official of the state of Indiana responding to a head coach who just defended an opposing player's flagrant 2 foul on her own guard. And the reason that lands so hard is not just what White said after Saturday's game. It is the pattern that Beckwith and everyone watching this season already knows. White defended Alyssa Thomas after the throat punch on Clark, said she did not think it was intentional. The league reviewed it and suspended Thomas. White defended Carrington after the flagrant 2 on Sophie, said she did not think it was intentional. The officials had already reviewed it and upgraded it. 2 different players, 2 different attacks on 2 different Fever players, same coach, same response, same defense of the people doing the attacking. Now here is what makes White's defense of Carrington even harder to explain. Stephanie White coached Dejanay Carrington before she became a Fever player's attacker. She knows her, she has a relationship with her, and fans watching Saturday's game immediately noticed that connection, pointing out that White also previously coached Alyssa Thomas before Thomas put a fist to Clark's neck. The same coach who has relationships with the players who keep targeting Indiana is the same coach who keeps standing at the podium and saying she does not think it was intentional. That is not a coincidence anymore. That is a pattern. And Indiana's own lieutenant governor saw that pattern clearly enough to go on social media and call for White's job the morning after.
Stephanie White did not defend her. Hell, Stephanie White don't even challenge fouls. She don't even challenge fouls. Now the comments is brutal, bro.
The same pattern every single time. Think about what that means for every player on the Indiana Fever roster. Sophie Cunningham just got hit with a flagrant 2, got bloodied, got back up, waved goodbye to Carrington, finished the game, won, went to the podium, and handled everything with clarity and composure. And her own head coach's response to all of that was to explain why the player who attacked her probably did not mean it. If you are a player on this roster and you watch that happen to a teammate, the same way it happened to Clark with Thomas, what does that tell you about whether your coach is going to protect you when something similar happens to you? Here is the other piece of this story that cannot be ignored. Carrington posted white privilege on social media after getting ejected, tagging the Indiana Fever, implying her ejection for a flagrant 2 foul had something to do with race rather than the arm she swung across Sophie's face. Sophie addressed it directly and cleanly at the podium. She said it has nothing to do with race, that last year she did the same thing and got kicked out, that she deserved to get kicked out, that there is no reason to play that card. And then Carrington told media she is already looking forward to a rematch against Sophie and the Fever. Not an apology, not a reflection, a promise to do it again. And Stephanie White stood between all of that and the microphone and said she thought it was a hard foul and she did not think it was intentional. The ABC broadcast commentators watching the same play in real time said it was clearly intentional. The officials reviewed it in real time and upgraded it from a flagrant 1 to a flagrant 2. The Indiana lieutenant governor called for White's firing the next morning, and White is still saying she does not think Carrington meant to hit Sophie in the face and neck on a breakaway where she chased her down from behind. The morning after, Indiana's own lieutenant governor woke up on Sunday, read White's post-game comments, and publicly called for her job. This is not a national political figure commenting from a distance the way Trump commented on Clark being treated rather rough. This is the lieutenant governor of the state where the Indiana Fever play their home games, the state whose residents fill Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the state whose fans boycotted a game and left the arena half empty when Clark sat out injured. Indiana's own elected leadership is now publicly saying what the fan base has been saying all season. Stephanie White needs to go. Think about the full timeline of what this season has produced. Lynn Dunn went on a panel and talked about weeding out players who do not fit the culture. White slammed a clipboard and benched Clark during a winning stretch. The trade rumors went to the Sparks. The boycott emptied the arena. Alyssa Thomas put a fist to Clark's neck and got one game off. White said she did not think it was intentional. Clark came back and dropped 26 and 11. Indiana beat the Aces 3 straight times. Sophie went viral at UFC 329, the night before dropping 6 threes on the defending champions. And now Dejonai Carrington, the same player who mocked Clark's eye poke on social media in 2024, swings her arm across Sophie's face on a breakaway, gets ejected, posts white privilege on social media, and promises a rematch. And White stands at the podium and defends her. Every piece of this season points in the same direction. Clark is performing at a historic level, while the team is 20-12 and sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference. Sophie is the most culturally significant player in the league right now beyond Clark. And the head coach of this team has spent all season finding ways to defend the people who attack her own players, while an entire state, including its own lieutenant governor, watches it happen and says enough. The Fever host the New York Liberty next. Clark had 26 and 11 against the Sky. Mitchell had 27. Boston had 13 and 11 rebounds. And Indiana won 90-86, despite losing Sophie to the flagrant situation in the first quarter. They won with Sophie bloodied on the floor and their head coach defending the woman who put her there. They keep winning despite everything this coaching staff puts them through. And now the lieutenant governor of Indiana is asking the question that the entire Fever fan base has been asking since the clipboard incident, since the Thomas throat punch, since the Lynn Dunn weed out panel, since every post-game speech that credited everyone except the player who carried the team. How long does this continue? And who inside the Indiana Fever organization is actually listening? What do you think? Should the Indiana Fever fire Stephanie White after she defended Sophie Cunningham's attacker? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is not slowing down. We will see you in the next one.